this is Amanda O'Connell, and welcome to our podcast. This is our Talent Innovation Labs, and I'm so excited to introduce Cristina Grau Vílchez. Did I say it okay?
Yeah, that's perfect.
I'm trying to work on the accent here. But she is founder and CEO of her company, Twintual. It's super interesting. I definitely want you to get into the details on how you created. It's technically an app, right?
Yeah.
Using AI functionality, and I don't have all the technical terms, but that's what Christina is going to share. So I'm so excited to have you on the podcast and just hear more about your journey. Kind of like as a female in this space, as just somebody maybe even younger in the space, and launching your company, working with so many different types of people to get this off the ground. And I just love to hear, some of your journey, your challenges, what you've overcome. So welcome. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much. So we believe we're drowning in an era of communication overdose. In fact, just look at this. I'm constantly receiving emails, texts, DMs. It never stops. And I bet it's the same for you. So I would like to know, how many messages have you received today? And don't think only about work. Consider friends, family, across all channels. Email, LinkedIn, Slack, WhatsApp, whatever.
Yeah, at over a dozen at least.
Yeah, it's a lot, right?
Yeah.
So now imagine if we could take all that time back. That would be amazing. So, but before explaining Twintual, I'd like also to take you back 100 years ago, when the handwritten letters existed. If you were a very important person, you could receive up to 3 letters a day, right? Mm-hmm. But then with all these tech updates that enter the market, an average CEO receives more than 500 messages, which is far beyond what's humanly manageable. So we thought, okay, we should do something for this issue, and that's why we created Twintual. So Twintual is your virtual twin that learns from your behavior and replies to all the messages on your behalf across all channels, as I was saying, email, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, Slack, WhatsApp, whatever, emulating your personas, which means it's going to learn how you speak with your boss, with your best friend, with your mom, and it's going to learn your tone, and also it's going to mirror your personality.
That's super interesting. And there's so many different channels, like you were saying, responding to different types of people, even like work to personal life. And then what is that considered? Is that it's agentic AI?
Yeah.
Because I'm, again, not super technical, but would love to learn just kind of like from a basic level, kind of what that entails.
Yeah, so I'm currently doing research at MIT, and I'm focusing primarily in agentic AI. So let's put it this way. All of us are agents, right? And every agent has its own personas, which means how we behave in every area of our lives. Mm-hmm. So you have your work persona, your personal persona, your family persona, right? So that's what we wanted to, we wanted to get this abstract concept and tangibilize it in this algorithm that we've called TBP, Twintual Behavioral Profile. That's like our, technical, preparatory intellectual knowledge, and it's how we basically tangibilize that concept. So basically, we have these different personas, and this TBP algorithm will learn how you act in every area of your lives, emulating your tone and how you speak. Because as I was saying, you will speak more formally in a work area rather than in a personal area, with your friends, right?
Yeah.
So that would be a bit of the agentic AI concept.
Okay.
And then normally agentic AI is also put together with the LLMs, which are the large language models, which is all these conversational aspect that have currently all digital agents. Mm-hmm. It's true that when people talk about virtual twins and agents, they normally think about this personalization, so you're gonna have your double digitally, right? But in our case, it's just message based, so we're just replying message. Maybe in the future we're gonna add also voice, but right now it's just that. So that's what we currently do.
Wow. Okay, and how did you get into all this? How did all this kind of get started? How did the idea come about? Could be personal challenge or whatever that may be.
So I love this question because I'm a person that I've always had everything very clear in my mind. So when I was 6 years old, I'm from Spain, Barcelona, and we had these kind of graduation at school, and we were given a piece of paper where it put what do you want to be when you grow up? And all my friends, they were like, oh, I want to be an actress, I want to be a firefighter, I want to be an astronaut. And with 6 years old, my response was, I want to be a robotics engineer.
Wow.
So that's hilarious because like I remember last week some of my friends from school, they sent it to me and they were like, how, like with 6 years old, like how did you know that? And I'm currently a robotics engineer, so I think I'm a person that anything that I have in my head, I just like go for it until I achieve it. So that's what it all started. So my parents started to like give me like presents such as like Lego Mindstorms and things to build. Like I've always been a very like creative person, and I wanted to like build things and create more things. So when I was 12 years old, my parents thought it was a great idea to go to Fab Lab. Fab Lab is an initiative from MIT Media Lab. In fact, it's a makerspace that you can find like it's all around the world, where you can build anything from scratch with 3D printers, laser cutters, also like robotic.
And this was in Spain?
This was in Spain, Barcelona. Yeah. So I of course decided to go. And when I went there first, I remember that I was like younger for like the age people were accepted to go, and I remember going to the boss and I was telling him, hey, please can I be like one of your students? I want to learn this, like I would love to like investigate and see if this is what I like, right? And he was like, maybe I was super stubborn, and he ended up like letting me in, right?
You didn't take no for an answer.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, please, I want to do that. So I ended up going there. I started building my first robotics project, which was like a demonic house, and then I met my co-founder with 12 years old. Of course, we didn't know we were gonna be co-founders at that time. But we started as students, both like very into like these technological solutions that could enhance people's lives. We built like different projects together, and we ended up being teachers over there, learning. Of course, this was like later with 16, 17 years old, teaching the 12-year students that were starting. In fact, I was a teacher for my brother. So yeah, that was pretty cool. So that's why I always, when I speak about my co-founder, something that's really cool is that I know that he's not only good technically speaking, but personally speaking also.
That's important.
And we can debate anything, like any complex topics, because when you have a startup, you have to debate literally anything, and doing it like with the respect and everything, I think it's very like important. So that was great. I know it was like a perfect match.
That's so interesting how your paths crossed. I mean, from the start, and then you got back in touch. And everything just worked out like very kind of serendipitously. It seems like that's very cool.
Yeah, so after that, in Spain, in Barcelona, it's mandatory to do like a high school research thesis. And I was wondering what to do, because I knew I wanted to do something robotics related, but I needed to find my why, because otherwise I knew I was going to do a project and that's it, right? So I started to go to these robotic fairs and everything, and I met a professor from ED, which is like one of the best robotics institutes in Barcelona, but it's for PhD students. And I was 15 or 16 years old, right? And I went to this professor once again. I was like, hey, could I come this like summer and just be intern there and learn? And he was like, hey, this is for PhD students. Like, they're like twice older than you. Like, and I was like, please, maybe I was again like very stubborn. And he ended up letting me there. So I remember spending that summer in the labs of ED, and it was so cool. I learned a lot, and I was able to just like realize even more that I wanted to do something robotics related. But I still had to find my why. So after that, my mom told me that she suffered a degenerative illness that only 5 people in the whole world suffer. Basically, her joints start to get like large until they break. They haven't like broken yet, but she suffers like, she has like pain,
like
when
arthritis type.
That's what doctors tells her, but it's not that exactly. And as only 5 people in the world suffer from that, there's not a lot of research going on. And I was like, okay, that's my why. I want to raise awareness of her illness so that there can be like more research behind that, and she can get more help, right? So I first developed like, it was a very like small prototype. It was like a finger 3D printed with the ink of the pen, and she could write like that, and like this it alleviated the pain she suffered when grabbing a pen doing this movement, right?
So it was like support for
she could like write like this like in an iPad, but it was like an exoskeleton of a finger with the ink of a pen. But I wanted to take this further because I knew just like an exoskeleton of a finger, it wouldn't drive like a lot of like impact, right?
Right.
So I ended up deciding to develop a full exoskeleton arm with all her literally like her measures.
Wow.
And it was 3D printed, but of course I was like 15, 16 years old. I didn't have the money, and I went to HP, Hewlett Packard company.
Yeah.
And I went there with, I remember like grabbing like some papers. I like designed the sketches like my computer. I printed everything like my documents, and I went there and I was like, hey, can I speak with like some manager over here? And then they were like, what? And so I was like, yeah, please, I have like a proposal to say.
Yeah.
And so they introduced me to one of the managers. I showed them the like my proposal, and I asked them if they could sponsor my project because I didn't have enough money, and I was willing to do this because I thought it was something good for like society, right?
Yeah.
And so they ended up sponsoring the project.
Wow.
They printed all the pieces. The quality was amazing. And also they put a group of engineers with me to kind of learn like all the movements of the
That's
joints
incredible.
and the fingers and everything. So that was super cool experience. I remember spending there like a year and a half, something like that, until I ended up presenting it in school. We were like in excellence, like academic excellence awards. We also won some awards at Barcelona, and it in fact raised a lot of awareness. Like right now, my mom has like a group of specialized doctors and nurses with her, like doing research and trying to improve. Like they're also doing surgery and everything so that she has like better mobility. But even today, I'm like when I I try to explain this to people to see if there's someone that resonates with that and can also like give her a solution. So
Yeah.
that was the first time I realized that doing a technological solution with a why behind what was it was what basically drove most fulfillment for me, and I
Right.
knew I wanted to like be fully dedicated on this because
Right.
I loved it. So after that, I had to just select what university I wanted to go to.
Yeah.
And so I applied to EPFL University. It's one of the best universities of engineering in Europe. It's in Switzerland, in Lausanne. And I was accepted there, so everything was great. I went with my family to visit the university. Everything was super cool because it was my first time studying abroad. But months before, so I had to start like in August, July. So that January, months before, I had a car accident. So a drunk and drug driver just bumped into our car. He was driving super fast. My family and my young brother, they were okay. Of course, like the psychological trauma.
Yeah.
But I was like the worst one, like in the accident. I
Like
lost
the worst injury.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, exactly. Like I lost a lot of blood and I
Oh.
was unconscious. In fact, I don't know if you can see it, but I have like a huge scar over
Little
here.
bit.
Yeah.
Little
I
tiny.
mean, they like doctors did a pretty good job because
Yeah.
right now when I compare it to when it happened, I seem like Frankenstein. So
That
they
is
did a very good job.
So traumatizing.
Yeah, like at the beginning, of course, it was horrible for me. I was turning
Yeah.
18. It's like when you're become an adult in
Yeah.
Spain. So it was a bit
You're at these
complicated.
really important turning points in your life. You're going to do these big things, and you have so much
Yeah.
passion and drive, and then all of a sudden something out of the blue just hits you.
Exactly,
And-
exactly. And also,
Wow.
like, I loved looking beautiful. I was doing some kind of advertisements before and
Okay.
modeling, and of
Yeah.
course, I had to stop. In fact, I remember when they just did the surgery, I told, because I thought it was just like a little scratch.
Yeah.
And I told the doctor, hey, can I look at the picture, like the before and after? And he was like, I don't think you should. And I was like, no, I'm super brave.
Yeah.
The thing is that I'm not. So when he showed me the picture, I still remember as if it was yesterday. I saw the two pictures and I was like, what? Like, do I really have these in my face? And so I started like, okay, I don't want to get out of my home. I just don't want to do any more modeling. I don't want anyone to see me. It was like super complicated to
Yeah.
overcome that. But of course, after some years right now, I can say that it's, of course, something that I don't recommend anyone to experience, but I'm so happy that I have experienced this because it has given me like this different perspective. I see
Yeah.
the world like from the outside. I don't know how to say it. I've learned like a lot of resilience, what's the
Yeah.
greed, the motivation, and positive, like being positive
Yeah.
mostly. So I think it's something that I'm very grateful.
I think it's one of those things where I've experienced something similar to my head as well. We could talk about that later. But for me, the same thing. You have this new perspective of life, almost like a second chance of,
Yeah.
you know, you think about what could have been, or you know, and everything, your entire perspective changes on what's important, and even hopefully highlights your passion and drive to what you set out to do to begin with, which you already had. So it's, I mean, I would think maybe it would propel you forward. At least that's kind of how I felt when I had a similar situation.
Yeah, no, literally. And also what you said about, like, you know what means the sentence of today can be your last day.
Yes.
Like, I remember, like, I thought, I told my grandma, like, I don't know if I'll be able to wake up tomorrow. Like, I was afraid to go to sleep.
Yeah.
And so I
think it's a head trauma.
Yeah.
It's very scary.
Yeah. I think I thought I wasn't, like, strong enough. So I think that's also something positive that I can see right now, of course, not at that time, which is that every day I see it as it could be the last one.
Yeah.
So I just, like,
make the most of it.
Yeah, I make the most of it. I just work very hard to accomplish whatever I think it would, like, make me happy. And not only about work, about anything. In fact, when I'm with my friends, like, let's say it's summer, you go to the beach and you see the sunset, right?
Yeah.
Every sunset I see, I'm like, oh, this is so beautiful. I love this.
I can totally relate to that.
Yeah, they're like, you say this every single time. Like, why? And I'm like, because I don't know if it's going to be the last. So I'm just appreciating this so much. So I'm very grateful for the moment. So I think that's why I think it's positive. I don't think everyone has this perspective, and I'm super grateful to have this. So
yeah, it's very interesting because after I went through my situation, that was kind of the moment where, you know, my husband and I decided to launch our company too. So I think that in so many ways, yes, those are such hard times, but they almost, like you said, build resilience, make you stronger, propel you faster towards your goals, hopefully, and give you kind of that new perspective and gratitude. Yeah. Wow, that's an incredible story.
Yeah, in fact, with my parents, we always celebrate, like, our second birthday. Like, January 27th is our second birthday.
Wow. Okay, walk me back a little bit. So you ended up, at that crossroads, you ended up having to study in the States, or? No,
I ended up, due to medical reasons, I had to stay in Barcelona. So I started studying in La Salle. I studied computer science and robotics engineering. Started also working for a company as an intern in Lighthouse, where I did, like, a lot of robotics projects. It was my first time where I started to do, like, real life robotics, like real use cases, started speaking with clients. Like, I realized that I love to do, like solving real issues that I knew it was gonna put out there on the market. Yeah. So I love that. And I started working on robotics, which everyone thinks that when you speak about a robot, it's a physical thing.
Mechanical or something. Yeah, that's what you think about.
Yeah, right? But the thing is that, and mostly, like, nowadays, a robot can also be digital. So in a metaverse, like an agent, or in a video game, right?
Right.
So I started to focus on this another conversational area of the robots, and also the behavioral AI. So how did we interact the way we interacted with these agents and robots, and how should they act in order to be, like, well perceived by the users, right? Like, there are a lot of things that I don't think people, like, of course, like, think about when just, like, thinking about robotics. For instance, if you're doing a robot for older adults, if you make it, like, to be higher than then when they're, like, sat on a chair, it might, like, be perceived as something, like, that's frightening.
Yeah, intimidating.
Like So there's a lot of things I've learned from all those projects. And then I had the opportunity to finish, so the last year of my degree, I came to Harvard. It was, like, my first time studying abroad. It was super exciting. And I did all the research of, like, my undergraduate thesis. And we ended up developing a social robot for Brigham and Women's Hospital geriatrician area and Harvard University. And basically, it was a teddy bear, of course, because it's, like, the animal of the country, right? Yeah. It's called Briggy, because it was Brigham and Women's Hospital. And basically, it started to monitor the patient, like, the patient state. Wow. And what we wanted to do with the robot, it's basically all the hospitals and insurance companies are losing, like, I think it was, like, $42 billion a year due to patient falls. So let's say I'm a patient, I want to go to the bathroom, but I don't have, like, strength enough. Issue. And so the nurses don't come, and I'm just, like, calling them, they're not coming, and I think I'm strong enough, I, like, stand up and I fall. So that, like, just having to go like back again to the hospital and getting better, that's this like the cost they have. So basically we developed Briggy to have this monitoring like constantly, because Briggy is like with them in the hospital room like 24/7, asking like for their like state, anything, something or whatever. So that's a bit of what we did, and it was an amazing project, and it was the first time I was in the States. And I knew I wanted to stay here because, I don't know, for me it was like super inspirational, super also, it produced a lot of motivation. Everyone that I spoke to with, they were like doing amazing things. Also, I think Boston is like a great place to be, because everyone's doing amazing things. And that motivated me a lot. So I was like, okay, I have to stay here. And at that time was when the idea of Twintual, the startup, started to grow. So basically, so as I said, it was the first time I was traveling abroad, right? So I was receiving messages from my friends and family in Spain, and also my friends from the US, like messages from the university, from Harvard, and then messages from the company I was working for in order to pay my rent, right? So in overall, I was receiving so many messages from so many different people, different channels, different contexts. I was like having information overload. It was like info obesity, and I needed like to find a solution. So as an engineer, I was like, okay, let's build this for myself, right? So I developed this virtual twin that replied to my messages, and every time I started to socialize the idea with my friends or mentors or whatever, they were like, oh, this is so cool, I want to use it. And I was like, well, maybe I should commercialize it. Like, it's not, like everyone wants it, right? So I conducted a market research with over 400 people. I validated the need, and also I validated that the solution was something that the people would pay for. So then we had the opportunity to present it at an award, like competition in Barcelona. We ended up winning Best Startup Award out of 300 startups. And that gave us like, it was a huge broadcast media-wise. Like we started appearing in TV, like podcasts, I don't know, newspapers, web pages. In fact, one morning I was here in Boston and my parents called and they were like, hey Chris, you're on TV. And I was like, what? Like no one told me. And so in fact I was all day on TV just like talking about Twintual, and it was super cool. And at that time it was when me and my co-founder reconnected. I posted a LinkedIn post in Mobile World Congress, which is like one of the largest tech mobile events worldwide, and he was like, hey, I've seen you've been doing like a lot of things, why don't we catch up? And at that time I was looking for a co-founder, and I remember like going into the coffee meeting and thinking like, he's like the great person to be by myself building this, because I know how he's professionally speaking, also personally speaking. He was the perfect match. So we went into like this coffee meeting and I pitched Twintual, and he was like, I want to sit in this rocket ship, I want to be part of this. And it was a perfect match. So that's when we started working together. Now it's going to be like a year and a half. But during like all these timeline, I also started a master's in data science and AI, and it was like 2 years. So the second year I had the opportunity to finish my research and the master thesis here at MIT. I'm in Media Lab Personal Robots Group, and that's what I'm currently doing right now, and I'm finishing next month. So exciting. I'm looking forward to finish and just be full-time with Twintual, even though I'm pretty much full-time right now. So but that's a bit of what we're currently doing, and we incorporated the company last September. So
congratulations. That's incredible. And I want to kind of speak about, because you walked in with your sweatshirt, and I love your sweatshirt. I love the branding. So I really want to get into that a little bit, and just kind of, your inspiration for that. Because a lot of times, you have these engineers who have these amazing ideas, but don't necessarily like know how to take them to market, or have like the creativity and the branding aspect of it. There's a lot of things that, they might not have the expertise on. So I was just curious on how that all came to fruition.
I know, I love this question, because like being an engineer, I've realized that all these topics like marketing, all these kind of things, I don't know why, but people do not give as much of importance as it should be. And mostly nowadays with social media, like marketing, branding, all this stuff, I think it's very important because everyone gets to see it, and it's like the first thing you see, so it should generate a very good impact. So like when we started building, so first of all, the name, I wanted to to mean something, right? So I told my co-founder, in Spanish you say Twintual, and so we started mixing these words, and in fact it was literally when we started looking for domains, everything was like booked, and it was super expensive.
Right.
And so we were like, okay, in Spain is Twintual. If you put literally these two words together, is Twintual. So Twintual. So you put these two words together. The domain was super cheap, and was like, okay, we're buying this one. So we started with this name, and then when developing the branding, we wanted something modern, but at the same time that people knew it was message related.
Okay.
So it's somewhat like hidden in the logo, but basically in the T, you can see that it does like this, right?
Yeah.
This like form, it's not a casualty, like it's been thought. Basically, it's like the icon of a message, like the like bulb of a message, like the bubble.
Yes,
you see?
like a like
bubble, if you were to receive a message, this is like the tickling,
right?
Of the notifications
and it's consistent throughout the logo.
Yeah, like you also have it here. Yeah,
I love it. Love the colors
so
too. How did those? I mean, I'm sure you thought through everything. So.
So we started looking about like the meanings of the different colors. We thought that the purple resonated a lot with what we wanted to like also like give to other people and make them understand. But at the same time, we started looking at all these messaging apps and which ones were like which branding they had and the colors. But we wanted to be different. So and currently, like right now, when I open my phone, the pink apps that I look at with these like pink or purple tonality, they're not that much. So
there's a lot of blue.
Yeah, there's a lot of blue and some green, and I was like, we have to be different.
Right.
So I just thought like, let's do that. And Matt, my co-founder, he entered after the branding, and he was like, he's more like. Like he's a normal engineer. He's more like, okay, I don't care, just do whatever you want. I'm okay. Like I know you have a good taste. That's
whatever
okay.
You think.
That's good. But and so I thought, I just liked it when I had it. I started also speaking to my friends. I was like, hey,
getting their feedback.
Yeah. That's how we ended up like deciding the branding and
It fits very well. I love it.
Thank you.
And I want to talk a little bit about just like the funding journey, because that's not something I have a lot of experience with, just on like how difficult that is and even competitive, in this market. What was that like for you? How was it? I mean, you go ahead.
So the thing is that my co-founder and I started working on these for like a year and a half right now, and we started investing our own money. So at the beginning, we didn't think about fundraising. We were like, we've worked, we have some money, we believe in this idea, and before we let other people believe in our idea, we have to first believe ourselves. And I think that believing in an idea, it's not only putting time, but also money. Because when the money is in the game, it's when you truly know that you can, you can lose your assets. So I think that's when you literally like put more effort into it. So we were literally playing with our money and just testing if this was going to work, right? And I mean, we are young, like we haven't worked that much, so we didn't have like a lot of savings. But either way, like we just put that, we believed a lot in the idea, and we started working with that. So after that, just like last month, we decided to fundraise because we are launching next week. In fact, the company, like the app, live, we did a user testing in December. We validated the idea, we incorporated more channels, and then next week we're just launching. So the launch is going to be a subscription model, and then in the fall we're going to launch freemium model. And it's going to be for B2B, so companies that want to use it for their like executives, middle managers, customer support, anyone in the company that they feel they need like a twin. And also influencers is a very good also target customer, because they're currently paying for agencies to like a lot of money. But you wouldn't imagine, like I have friends that are influencers and they're paying like a ton of money. So with Twintual, like we're speaking about like the pro feature is just $20 a month, which is super cheap, and it literally handles all like your digital life. because aside from replying to messages, it also summarizes all the conversations. You have a unified calendar with all your different profiles. You can also assign tasks, such as, hey, Twintual, just book a meeting with this person through WhatsApp, email, whatever, regarding, like, according to their, like, availability in mind, and it's going to do everything for you. And then you have a dashboard with analytics that tells you how much time you've earned in your day, or like how well is your Twintual trained and everything. So that's a bit of what we're gonna give. And then we thought, okay, we're gonna start like having revenue. In fact, we already have revenue, because from the B2C, we already have 80 customers that have prepaid, but we'll use it in the fall. They basically did this because they believe in the idea, and we promised them that we're going to give some features that they're not currently available. So we're going to use that to work these months. And then for next week, we already have between 15 and 20 paying customers that are either use it like for their companies or for themselves, and maybe in the future for their companies, right?
Wow.
So we thought, okay, now that things are gonna be like real, it's okay if my co-founder and I are not paid, but we will have to span the team, and we don't have like so our money has been like finishing, right? Of course, we're investing more
quickly.
Yeah, but at some point we will have to start like hiring people, paying them. We want them to feel like comfortable, and we also want to like build a team that feels like a family, not a team that just goes to their office, to their blog, and just like works all day without like no communication. We want to build this
that
kind
culture.
of like, and I feel it's very important. So my co-founder and I were speaking. We started like publishing like a lot of updates and like, speaking to people, and we started to have like VCs and angels that were interested in like investing in the company. So that's when, with our advisor, he's the former chief information officer at a bank in Wall Street. He mentioned, hey guys, I think you should fundraise. So like right now is the right time. So we just decided last month to fundraise. We've been like ongoing talks with VCs and angels, and we're starting to define our cap table. We want to do the first round pre-seed with a safe investment, and it's pretty cool because we're receiving a lot of good feedback, and the idea is just to like raise the money, build a team, take the MVP to public launch, and then start to grow, because I believe this, like, of course I wouldn't be doing it otherwise, but this is something everyone needs. But of course we have to start with a target audience, right? But in the future I believe it's something that everyone needs, and there's so many things I want to do with Twintual in the future. So right now it's just like a first starting point of what I need to do in order to like be able to do what I want to do in the future, right? And also at the end, like Twintual, not only like speaking about like a productivity tool, it's also going to be the app that most data is going to have, because every user will connect all of the other apps. So I think this is a very powerful thing to have in mind. And being like data scientist, I'm also like very aware of all the privacy like issues. So my co-founder, he's expert in cybersecurity. So we're like having everything like very secured, and also I know my family and friends are gonna use it too, so I wanna like be ethically and legally like compliant with all this stuff, right? So that's a bit of what we're currently doing. But I believe that this is the year of agentic AI, of course, like the age, right? But the year mostly, and we just have to go. And I think money is clear, right? Like it's something like key in order to like move forward faster, at least.
Have you had struggles in terms of like, or even just moments of frustrations? I don't want to say failures, because that's all part of the journey, but just moments where you're like, I don't know if this is happening, like, you know, just certain, I guess, stressful moments. I think folks can relate to.
I think so. The feeling of I don't know if this is gonna like turn out right or not. I don't have it, because of course I want this to turn out right, but I don't let like I feel it also comes like from the accident, this kind of mindset, right? But I don't let like these negative thoughts like inside of my mind. So every time someone asks, or someone tells me like, oh, and what if you fail? I'm like, that's not gonna
That's not
happen.
even in my mind.
That's not in my mind. I'm just gonna
That's good.
work, and I know that if I work hard, something's gonna happen.
Right.
Like I'm like 100%.
I love that mentality.
Yeah,
it's
and
so
also-
important. You can't
Yeah.
really teach that either.
Yeah, no, literally. And also I feel that like in my life, I've always been like very consistent in work.
Yeah.
Maybe I wasn't like the best, but as I was consistent, I was able to do a lot of the things that I've done.
Yeah.
And I also believe that when I was
That's okay.
What did you ask?
Oh,
The-
I think we were just talking about just kind of like the journey. Any kind of struggles
yeah.
or like
Okay.
obstacles, I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah.
So something else that I think it's very important to consider is that when you are doing like a company or something like that, you always have to think what I was saying. So this is the start point, and I have like different milestones, which is like my motivation really of what I want to achieve. So I don't think about what I currently have, but where I want to get, and this is like a need to get to the next point.
Focus on the finish line.
Exactly.
I want to bring up that point of like, because entrepreneurship, I mean, I just think about this and how important I think vision is, because I think you've touched on it, but I would love to hear about, it seems that you're focused on that, but what is kind of your big vision for this? And I know you've touched on a few of those points, but just curious from like that entrepreneur perspective, because I think that's what drives entrepreneurs is like that, like you're saying, focus on the end result, whereas a lot of folks are kind of stuck in the moment of like, I'm feeling this way right now and I don't feel like doing this, and it's I think it's that vision that carries
so
entrepreneurs.
I think if you find something that matters, you will always have like the motivation for that vision. And it's okay if it's not something that's not like very big. If you just think that's something that can improve people's lives, or it's gonna improve your well-being or whatever you need, I think that's the vision you gotta have. Like, it's the why that I was speaking to you before, like with the exoskeleton of the robotic arm. I think the why is the most important thing you have to have in order to be maybe successful. If you also have like consistency, you're in the right place at the right time, right? But the why, it's like one of the fundamentals that you have to have, in my opinion, in order to be able to be at least happy during the journey. Because if you don't have a why, it's gonna be like super complicated. Like even for me, like I have a why. I think my why is very strong. I love what I'm doing because it's something that I need, and I need to find a solution because I'm stressed. I have like a lot of things going on, and I need something to manage everything for me. But I also have some days where I'm like, oh my god, I haven't accomplished anything in my life. And so my mentors and my friends are like, Chris, you're dumb. Like, but I'm like, no,
but you have.
Like it's true that I have. There's some things, but at the same time, I focus on like what I want to accomplish, and it's nothing. So there's also, so I don't know if you know this tennis player from Spain. He's called Rafa Nadal.
Maybe.
Yeah, so he's very popular. I love him. My family is very into tennis. So something he did is, and I think he's very good at, is his mental strength. So basically, he won one of the best like tennis tournaments, and after winning, and he was pretty young, instead of just like going to celebrate, which is like what everyone would do, right? He went 2 hours to the gym to train more and more and more, and his uncle was his trainer. And he just like trained more and more and more, because he was like, is that all? Like, do you want to accomplish just this? Like, is this the only thing you want to get to?
That's
right?
not the end goal, right?
So that's what I think we should be focused on. So when I just get these like breakdowns, which is normal because there's a lot of things going on, and you're like, okay, I've been working so hard, I need like results, like I just want more. It's, even though
getting back to work.
So
take a deep breath and refocus.
A few weeks ago we were published by Forbes, right? And it was amazing, so we were super happy, and everyone was like, wow, we should go celebrate, like let's get some beers. And I was like, like the rush and the excitement is super cool, like, wow, we're in Forbes, right? But then I was like, no, let's keep working. Like, we have to make these. It's like a small milestone of what, and I wouldn't say even a milestone. Like, this is a amazing thing, but this is not even like what we want to accomplish. Like we want to accomplish like great things. We want this to be like an extension of yourself, and just let everyone use it, as everyone's currently using Instagram or whatever app. We want Twintual to be that. So that's like what I'm aiming to get to. So I just look at that, and every milestone we just like get over. I'll just like keep working, and I'll tell my co-founder too. He also has this mindset. So I think it's pretty good, because when I can be down, he cheers me up, and the other way around.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I think
that's
that's
key.
Yeah, I think that's what we.
I hope you celebrate a little bit along the way. I think a little bit of celebration is good, just to keep things going. But that's an amazing mindset. I love that. And I think kind of piggybacking off of that is kind of like advice that you would give, and even like you mentioned, like resources or people that inspire you, like some of these like athletes, so many inspiring stories. Like what are some folks that you look to, or even resources, podcasts? It could be anything, books.
So I'm currently finishing one book which I love, and a lot of people have recommended to me, and I think for entrepreneurs would be like a must read. It's 0 to 1. It tells you everything of how to go from like nothing or like a tiny thing to like scaling and increasing, and how to like do good at what you can do good. And also, of course, like start with why. I always speak about the why. When I read that book, it like very much resonated with me, because I'm also very like into the why. And about like people in general. So I'm currently following a lot Ormozy. He's like very into sales. So as having a technical background, what is super cool is that I'm just right now being the CEO, of course. My co-founder and I were both like technical, so we both developed the product and the technical things, right? But being the CEO means like doing all the rest of the stuff. So I'm starting to speak with clients, like fundraising, like this kind of stuff, which I'm not like used to that, or marketing, right? And it's super cool. So I'm starting to follow all these different people that are very good at something that I have to learn still, because I have to learn so many things, and I'm starting to surround myself of like good advisors and a good like network of people that can like they can teach me all these things that I have to learn. So fellows from MIT, from Harvard, even from CIC, there's a lot of people that are helping me, and it's something that I like a lot about Boston, at least. Like everyone that you meet is willing to help you, and they don't want to get like something in return. No, they just see that you're competing against yourself, that you want to prove yourself, and you want to get to a certain point. So they're just because they want to like help you, and I think that's super cool, because I think in Spain we have a different culture. Like there's more like I don't know, I feel that people try to.
Is it like competitive?
I'd say that. Like if you succeed more than another person, then it's gonna be a bit of rivalry.
I see.
And every time, so I normally also give talks. I've been like around the world, in Mexico, Panama, here in the States, Asia, Spain, and something I love is like seeing the different cultures, how they behave. Again, it's about behavior. I love it.
Very interesting.
And it's something I always want to share, that the ecosystem you have in the US, it's so good, at least for entrepreneurship, because everyone's helping you, and I don't know, it's amazing, and I just love it. Everyone does introductions, everyone helps you, and it's great. I love it. So
oh my gosh, well it's been so awesome to learn about your journey, and so excited for you for your launch and going to market, and all what the future holds. You have a very bright future.
I hope so.
I can't wait to follow along. And well, thank you so much for joining us on today's podcast, and we look forward to next episode.